What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's Cybersecurity Weekly, where we review the security events that happened in the last week. As always, I've broken down the stories in the timeline, and there is a list of stories with time markers in the description below, so you can click on any of those time markers to jump around to any story that you want. If you find my work valuable, of course I ask you to hit the like button and share this episode with anyone you know who can benefit from this information. Lastly, if you have not already, please also consider subscribing to my channel.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
We start off today with phishing. Cybersecurity firm ArmorBlocks discovered a new phishing campaign aimed at American Express customers. The subject of the emails reads, "Important notification about your account," in an attempt to urge recipients to open it. Once opened, the email appears as a legitimate email communication from American Express, while the content instructs the cardholder on how to view the secure encrypted message attached. Upon opening the attachment, victims were greeted with a message announcing additional verification requirements for the associated account. Urgency was instilled within the victims through the inclusion of the language, "This is your last chance to confirm it before we suspend it," and a prompt for victims to complete a one-time verification process that was needed as part of a global update from the American Express team, reads the analysis published by ArmorBlocks. Upon clicking on the link in the message, victims are redirected to a fake American Express login page, which includes the company's logo and a link to download the American Express app. Bad news for approximately 120,000 taxpayers who filed a Form 990T as part of their tax returns. The Internal Revenue Service has accidentally leaked their confidential information. The IRS recently discovered that some machine-readable and in the form of XML Form 990T data had made available for bulk download section on the tax-exempt organization search should not have been made public. This section is primarily used by those with the ability to use machine-readable data. Other, more widely used sections of TEOS are unaffected, reads the statement from the Internal Revenue Service. Exposed data included names, contact information, and reported income for those IRAs. Social security numbers, individual tax returns, and other sensitive data were not exposed. The disclosure did include social security numbers, income figures, or information that could harm an individual's credit, the department said. Some published information included names and contact information, reported Bloomberg. The mistaken disclosure could also give Republicans, ammunition to push for lower IRS funding if they were to win majorities in Congress in the midterm elections. They have criticized the provision in the Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act passed last month that grants the agency $80 billion in additional funding over a decade. Well, I think they need this additional funding to increase their cybersecurity efforts, right? The Treasury announced that the IRS would contact all impacted individuals in the coming weeks. It's 120,000 people being called by the IRS. The IRS is continuing to review the situation, Anna Canfield Roth, the Treasury's acting Assistant Secretary for Management, said in the letter. The Treasury Department has instructed the IRS to conduct a prompt review of its practices to ensure the necessary protections are in place to prevent unauthorized data disclosures. I think it should say ever happening again, but it doesn't. RE security researchers discovered a new phishing-as-a-service called EvilProxy advertised on the dark web. Following the recent Twilio hack leading to the leakage of two-factor authentication codes, cybercriminals continue to upgrade their attack arsenal to orchestrate advanced phishing campaigns targeting users worldwide. RE Security has recently identified a new phishing-as-a-service called EvilProxy advertised in the dark web. On some sources, the alternate name is Moloch, which has some connection to a phishing kit developed by several notable underground actors who targeted the financial institutions and the e-commerce sector before. While the incident with Twilio is solely related to the supply chain, cybersecurity risks obviously lead to attacks against downstream targets. The productized underground service like EvilProxy enables threat actors to attack users with enabled multi-factor authentication on the largest scale without the need to hack upstream services. EvilProxy actors are using reverse proxy and cookie injection methods to bypass two-factor authentication, proxifying victims' sessions. Previously, such methods have been seen in targeted campaigns of apt and cyber espionage groups. However, now these methods have been successfully productized in EvilProxy, which highlights the significance of growth in attacks against online services and multi-factor authorization mechanisms, not authentication. Based on the ongoing investigation surrounding the result of attacks against multiple employees from Fortune 500 companies, RE Security was able to obtain substantial knowledge about EvilProxy, including its structure, its modules, functions, and the network infrastructure used to conduct malicious activity. The bad actors are especially diligent when it comes to detecting possible virtual machines, typically used by security analysts to research malicious content and clients connected to or via RDP. Some members of the Conti ransomware gang were involved in a financially motivated attack targeting Ukraine from April to August 2022. UAC 0098 historically delivered the iced ID Trojan to achieve an initial compromise to the target networks before deploying human-operated ransomware. The attacker has recently shifted their focus to targeting Ukrainian organizations, the Ukrainian government, and European humanitarian and non-profit organizations. TAG assesses UAC 0098 acted as an initial access broker for various ransomware groups, including Quantum and Conti, a Russian cybercrime gang known as Fin12, or Wizard Spider, reads the TAG's report. TAG started monitoring UAC 0098 activity after detecting a phishing campaign delivering anchor mail, referred to as Lucky Builder, in late April 2022. The backdoor was developed by the Conti Group, which installed it as a TrickBot module. We now move on to patches. Cisco fixed new security flaws affecting its products, including a recently disclosed high-severity issue in the NVIDIA Data Plane Development Kit. Cisco says that a new authentication bypass flaw affecting multiple small business VPN routers will not be patched because the devices have reached end of life. If an error condition is observed on the device interface, the device may either reload or fail to receive traffic, resulting in a denial of service condition, reads the advisory published by Cisco. The vulnerability affects Cisco Catalyst 8000V Edge software, adaptive security virtual appliances, secure firewall threat defense virtual, formerly known as FTDV. The second issue resides in the binding configuration of Cisco SD-WAN vManage software containers. An unauthenticated adjacent attacker who has access to the VPN Zero Logic network can trigger the flaw to access the messaging service ports on an affected system. The CVE 2022-28199 flaw stems from a lack of proper error handling in DBDK's network stack. An attacker can trigger the flaw to trigger a denial of service condition, potentially impacts data integrity and confidentiality. A vulnerability in the binding configuration of Cisco SD-WAN vManage software containers could allow an unauthenticated adjacent attacker who has access to the VPNO logical network to also access the messaging service ports on an affected system, reads the advisory. This vulnerability exists because the messaging server container ports on an affected system lack sufficient protection mechanisms. An attacker could exploit this vulnerability by connecting to the messaging service ports of the affected system. Microsoft released a Windows Defender update to fix a problem that caused Defender antivirus software to identify the app based on the Chromium browser engine or the Electron JavaScript framework as malware. Multiple users reported to the tech giant that they have received a Win32 Hive ZY removal notification every time they run applications like Google's Chrome browser, WhatsApp, Discord, or Spotify. Microsoft addressed the issue with the release of version 1.37.1537.0 on September 4, 2022. It has already happened in the past that the popular antivirus software has identified Chrome as a malicious code. The website their register reported a similar problem in 2011. We now move on to other security news. In India and the UK, India and the UK organized a virtual cybersecurity exercise for 26 countries. The exercise is a part of the India-led International Counter-Ransomware Initiative Resiliency Working Group, facilitated by the British Aerospace Systems, or BAE. The aim to organize this virtual cyber exercise on ransomware resilience is to simulate a large, widespread cybersecurity incident affecting organizations within a country, said the NSCS statement. These companies are responsible for the distribution of electricity to domestic customers and are the last link to the public supply. The exercise explores the complexity of decision-making around response to ransomware on critical national infrastructure, the notice said. This exercise has been designed to support the mission of the CRI and aims to allow participating CRI members to test their capability to respond to a major ransomware incident, demonstrates the benefit of sharing information and collaborating during a major incident, provide opportunities for the CRI nations to share their approaches to countering ransomware, NSCS added. NHTSA updates cybersecurity guidance for vehicle security. The latest version updates guidance from 2016 and covers a wide range of cybersecurity issues as cars become more connected and potentially more vulnerable to hacking. As vehicle technology and connectivity develop, cybersecurity needs to be a top priority for every automaker, developer, and operator, said Dr. Stephen Cliff, NHTSA's administrator. NHTSA is committed to the safety of vehicles on our nation's roads, and these updated best practices will provide the industry with important tools to protect Americans against cybersecurity risks. NHTSA routinely assesses cybersecurity risks as well as emerging best practices and will consider future updates to these best practices as motor vehicles, motor vehicle equipment, and their cybersecurity evolve. The Popper Collective Anonymous and the IT Army of Ukraine hacked the Yandex taxi app, causing a massive traffic jam in Moscow. This week, Anonymous announced to have hacked the Yandex taxi app, the largest taxi service in Russia, and used it to cause a massive traffic jam in Moscow. The threat actors ordered all available taxis to a particular address. Due to the attack, one of the main streets of Moscow was completely blocked for more than 2 hours. On the morning of September 1st, the Yandex taxi encountered an attempt by hackers, or attackers, to disrupt the service. Several dozen drivers received bulk orders to the Philly region, the press service noted. Due to fake orders, drivers spent about 40 minutes in a traffic jam, reported Forbes Russia. The Yandex-owned company stated that its security department immediately blocked the intruder and halted the fake taxi requests. However, the hack has caused a traffic jam. The company also announced that it will address the issue of compensation for the incident in the near future. Experts spotted an upgraded version of the SharkBot malware that was uploaded to the official Google Play Store. Fox IT researchers have spotted an upgraded version of a SharkBot dropper that was uploaded to the official Google Play Store. The malware was spotted at the end of October by researchers from cybersecurity firms Cleafy and ThreatFabric. The name comes after one of the domains used for its command and control servers. While previous variants of the dropper relied on accessibility permissions to automatically install the SharkBot malware, this new one asks the victim to install the malware as a fake update for the antivirus. The researchers found 2 SharkBot dropper apps in Google Play Store, Mr. Phone Cleaner and Kyle Havey Mobile Security, with 10,000 and 50,000 installs respectively. SharkBot is a banking Trojan that has been active since October 2021. It allows to steal banking account credentials and bypass multi-factor authentication mechanisms. The malware was observed targeting the mobile users of banks in Italy, the UK, and the United States. The Trojan allows to hijack users' mobile devices and steal funds from online banking and cryptocurrency accounts. SharkBot is able to perform unauthorized transactions via automatic transfer systems and an advanced tech technique that is uncommon within Android malware. ATS enables attackers to autofill fields in legitimate mobile banking apps and initiate money transfers without a live operator intervention to authorize the transactions. Researchers pointed out that this technique allows the malware to receive a list of events to be simulated, allowing attackers to automate and scale up their operations. On the 16th of August 2022, Fox IT researchers observed new command and control servers providing a list of targets including banks in Spain, Australia, Poland, Germany, United States of America, and Austria. Threat actors published a sample of data allegedly stolen from TikTok, but the company denies it was breached. The Hacking Collective Against the West recently published a post on Breach Forum's message board claiming to have hacked TikTok and stolen source code and user data. The group published screenshots of the alleged stolen data. It claims to have had access to an Alibaba cloud instance containing data from both TikTok and WeChat users. TikTok prioritizes the privacy and security of our users' data. Our security team investigated these claims and found no evidence of a security breach, a company spokesman told the media. Our security team investigated this statement and determined that the code in question is completely unrelated to TikTok's backend source code, a spokesperson added. Yeah, it might be unrelated to the backend code, but it could be related to an app code, I don't know, API, something. Interpol arrested 12 individuals which are suspected to be core members of a transnational sextortion ring. Interpol announced the arrest of 12 individuals suspected to be core members of a transnational sextortion ring. The arrests took place in July and August as a result of a joint investigation conducted by Interpol's Cybercrime Division and police in Singapore and Hong Kong. Sextortion is a criminal act and a form of sexual exploitation that involves coercing an individual through threat or manipulation into producing sexually explicit material and sending it over the internet. The crooks use the app to steal victims' phone contact lists, then blackmail victims by threatening to share their nude videos with their relatives and friends. We conducted a proactive investigation and in-depth analysis of a zombie command and control server hosting the malicious application, which, along with the joint efforts by our counterparts, allowed us to identify and locate individuals linked to the criminal syndicate, said Raymond Lam Chuk Ho, acting head of the Hong Kong Police Cybersecurity and Technology Crime Bureau. Below is there's a list of tips published by the FBI to avoid extortion attempts. Never send compromising images of yourself to anyone, no matter who they are or who they say they are. Do not open attachments from people who you do not know. Links can secretly hack your electronic devices using malware to gain access to your private data, photos, and contacts, or control your web camera and microphone without your knowledge. You want to turn off your electronic devices and web cameras when not in use. Makes sense, right? China accuses the United States of conducting tens of thousands of cyber attacks on its country, including cyber espionage campaigns. The attacks were orchestrated by the NSA's Tailored Access Operations (TAO) elite hacker unit that in one case compromised the Northwestern Polytechnical University in the city of Xi'an and stole over 140 gigabytes of high-value data. The government of Beijing accused the United States of launching tens of thousands of attacks on China. The attacks aimed at stealing sensitive data from government entities and universities. On Monday, the Chinese National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center, CVERC, published a report which was co-authored by the private Chinese cybersecurity firm Keyhole 360 that accuses the U.S. National Security Agency of conducting these tens of thousands of malicious attacks on network targets in China in recent years. The university focuses on aeronautical and space research. The U.S. hackers were able to compromise the network of the university and take control of tens of thousands of network devices, including servers, routers, and network switches. The attackers exploited zero-day flaws impacting the Sun OS operating system. They gained access to the core technical data, including passwords and operations of key network devices. The intrusion seriously endangers China's national security and users' personal data security, said the foreign ministry in Beijing. We asked the U.S. to provide an explanation and urged them to stop immediately this illegal move, Mao Ning, a spokeswoman for the foreign ministry, said at a regular press conference. Well, I mean, the street goes both ways, right? We hack you, you hack us. Who's hacking who more? I don't know. Researchers discovered a previously undocumented software control panel named TeslaGun used by a cybercrime gang known as TA505. Researchers from cybersecurity firm ProDaft have discovered a previously undocumented software control panel tracked as TeslaGun used by a cybercrime group known as TA505. Russian TA505 hacking group, aka EvilCorp, has been active since 2014, focusing on retail and banking sectors. The group is also known for some evasive techniques they put in place over time to avoid the security controls and penetrate corporate perimeters with several kinds of malware. For instance, abusing the so-called lol bins, living off the land binaries, legit programs regularly used by victims, or also the abuse of valid cryptographically signed payloads. The TA505 group was involved in campaigns aimed at distributing the Dridex banking Trojan, along with Locky, BitPaymer, Philadelphia, Global Poster, or Globe IM Poster, and Jeff ransomware families. Now, ProDaft experts state that the group has carried out mass phishing campaigns against at least 8,160 targets. Most of the victims are in the finance sector or individuals. TeslaGun victim data revealed that 3,667 targets are in the U.S. The financially motivated group is known to have used multiple malware in its attacks, including flawed AMI, the ServHelper Backdoor, and flawed Grace malware. The TeslaGun control panel was used by the threat actors to manage the ServHelper Backdoor. It acts as a command and control infrastructure, allowing operators to issue commands. The ServHelper Backdoor is written in Delphi, and according to experts, the development team continues to update it by implementing new features going way back to 2019. Researchers pointed out that almost every new campaign used a new variant of the malware. Once downloaded, the ServHelper Backdoor set up reverse SSH tunnels that allow attackers access to the infected system via remote desktop on port 3389. In 2019, Proofpoint experts also discovered another ServHelper variant that does not include the tunneling and hijacking capabilities. In this case, the backdoor was used only as a downloader for the flawed Grace Rat. The actors regularly migrate their proxy servers to new servers in the same data center to attain a low detection rate. During our investigation, we observed several TeslaGun management panels predominantly residing in Mevo Cloud SRL Moldova, reads the report published by the experts. The TeslaGun panel has a pragmatic, minimalist design. The main dashboard only contains infected victim data, a generic comment section for each victim, and several options for filtering victim records. The tool used by the gang to execute RDP connections allows to launch multiple hidden RDP instances once infected or once a victim is infected. TA505 operators can connect to the victim via RDP to use remote connections simultaneously. Experts spotted new Android spyware that was used by China-linked threat actors to spy on the Uyghur community in China. Researchers from Cyber Research and Intelligence Labs started their investigation after Malware Hunter team experts shared information about a new Android malware used to spy on the Uyghur community. In light of the ongoing conflict between the government of the People's Republic of China and the Uyghur community, the malware disguised as the book is a lucrative bait employed by threat actors to spread malicious infection in the targeted community. Reads the analysis published by Cybel. Upon performing behavioral analysis, we observed that this malware has an icon similar to the cover page of the book known as the China Freedom Trap, written by Dolkin Issa, and on opening the app, the user is shown a few pages of the book, including the cover page, an introduction to the book and its author, along with a condolence letter at the end. The app allows to steal device information, SMSs, contact data, call logs, and neighboring cell information. The malicious code is also able to capture the device screen and take pictures from the device's camera. The malware steals information from the infected devices based on the commands received from the command and control server. Upon launching the application for the first time, the malware checks the Android device SDK version. If the version is below 29, the malicious app hides its icon from the device screen and runs in the background. If the device version is higher than 29, it opens the rdp.pdf file present in the APK resources, which contains the cover page, the introduction of the book and the author, and a condolence letter. TAs are leveraging various methods, including regional and biogeographical conflicts, to fulfill their malicious intents. In this case, they are seen taking advantage of the Uyghur-Chinese conflict to target unsuspecting individuals, concludes the report. One of the U.S. largest school districts, the Los Angeles Unified School District, suffered a ransomware attack during the weekend. The Los Angeles Unified School District is one of the largest school districts in the U.S. It was hit by a ransomware attack during the Labor Day weekend. Los Angeles Unified detected unusual activity in its information technology systems over the weekend, which, after initial review, can be confirmed as an external cyber attack on our informational technology assets. Since the identification of the incident, which is likely criminal in nature, we continue to assess the situation with law enforcement agencies, reads a statement by the Los Angeles Unified School District. Despite the significant disruption to our systems infrastructure, schools will open on Tuesday, September 6th as scheduled, which is a while ago, so no cyber attack day off or snow day, whatever. Palo Alto Network's Unit 42 researchers reported a new wave of attacks launched by the MooBot botnet that target vulnerable D-Link routers. The Marais-based MooBot botnet was first documented by Palo Alto Unit 42 researchers in February 2021. In November 2021, it started exploiting a critical command injection flaw, CVE 2021-36260, in the web server of several Hikvision products. At the time of the analysis, the command and control server was offline. The analysis of the code revealed that the MooBot botnet will also send heartbeat messages to the command and control server and parse commands from command and control to start a distributed denial of service attack on a specific IP address and port number. Researchers strongly recommend users of D-Link routers to apply patches and upgrades when possible. For users that suspect their router has been compromised, the experts recommend resetting the device, changing the admin password, and then installing the latest updates. In the digital age, authentication is paramount to a strong security strategy. Which are the challenges of the user's authentication? In the digital age, authentication is paramount to security strategy. Say it again. As virtually every aspect of day-to-day life and business is conducted online, the added convenience has also brought added risk. Information privacy, data sovereignty, and financial safety are front of mind for organizations worldwide, and if they're not, they should be. As cloud adoption grows exponentially, businesses scramble to amend security strategies to keep their data and end users safe. Cybercriminals continue to evolve their tactics to exploit vulnerabilities, consistently developing new means to execute DDoS attacks, hacks, and fraud for financial gain or sabotage. The post-pandemic business landscape sees many businesses adopting remote or hybrid work models, creating new security and data protection challenges. End users require access to business networks and applications from mobile workspaces. Organizations have had to pivot workforce policies and security strategies to meet end user needs for a consistent experience and business needs for privacy and security. As employees access crucial systems and data from private devices, how does an organization maintain a high security standard? User authentication seems easy, but there are inherent challenges to be aware of. Conceptually, user authentication is clear. It's the process of validating end users to ensure secure access to networks, applications, and accounts. Authenticating users is the first line of defense and protection from nefarious cybercriminals. User authentication has three common approaches: password-protected logins, set of parameters for login credentials, including password length, special characters, or other mandatory elements. Trusted device logins require the end user to have a physical token, such as a card or USB-connected device, authenticating users with the presence of a device to prove identity. Biometric logins include something unique to the user, such as fingerprint scans, facial recognition, voice recognition, or other means. A robust security strategy requires you to understand the challenges to user authentication and the potential points for security exploitation. Understanding these risks and building your security approach before threats arise is crucial. A new Linux malware dubbed Shiki-Teka leverages a multi-stage infection chain to target endpoints and IoT devices. Researchers from AT&T Alien Labs discovered a new piece of stealthy Linux malware dubbed Shiki-Teka that targets endpoints and IoT devices. The malware stands out for its multi-stage infection chain. Threat actors use it to gain full control of the system and carry out other malicious activities, including cryptocurrency mining. Shiki-Teka is able to download next-stage payloads for a command and control server and execute them directly in memory, which makes it highly evasive. The experts reported that the malware downloads and executes Metasploit's Metal Meterpreter to take over infected machines. Shiki-Teka exploits vulnerabilities to elevate privileges and maintain persistence. The researchers observed that it uses a polymorphic encoder to avoid detection by antivirus engines. The malware uses the Shikata Ga-Nai polymorphic XOR additive feedback encoder, which is one of the most popular encoders used in Metasploit. Using the encoder, the malware runs through several decode loops, where one loop decodes the next layer until the final shellcode payload is decoded and executed, reads the analysis published by AT&T Alien Labs. After several decryption loops, the final payload shellcode will be decrypted and executed. The malware leverages the exploit to download and execute the final stage with root privileges, persistence, and the payload of the malware. Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama announced that Albania interrupted diplomatic ties with Iran and expelled the country's embassy staff over the massive cyber attack that hit the country in mid-July. The cyber attack hit the servers of the National Agency for Information Society, which handles many government services. Most of the desk services for the population were interrupted, and only several important services such as online tax filing were working because they are provided by servers not targeted in the attack. Albania reported the attack to the NATO member states and other allies. Why is it in every government attack the tax servers are never affected? So you can file your taxes, but you can't get money out of your account. You can't get health services or this, that, and the other. Why don't they attack the tax services? I don't get it. The in-depth investigation provided us with the indisputable evidence that the cyber attack against our country was orchestrated and sponsored by the Islamic Republic of Iran through the engagement of 4 groups that enacted the aggression, one of them being a notorious international cyber terrorist group, which has been a perpetrator of, or co-perpetrator, of earlier cyber attacks targeting Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Jordan, Kuwait, and Cyprus, Albanian Prime Minister Rama said. An official notice of the decision has been sent to the Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Iran, asking that all the diplomatic, technical, and administrative and security staff leaves within 24 hours the territory of the Republic of Albania. This extreme response, one that is unwanted by totally forced on us, is fully proportionate to the gravity and risk of the cyber attack that threatened to paralyze public services, erase digital systems, and hack into state records, steal government intranet electronic communication, and stir chaos and insecurity in the country, but not affect the tax system. The United States strongly condemns Iran's cyber attack against our NATO ally Albania. We join in Prime Minister Rama's call for Iran to be held accountable for this unprecedented cyber incident. The United States will take further action to hold Iran accountable for actions that threaten the security of a U.S. ally and set a troubling precedent for cyberspaces, U.S. National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson said. North Korea-linked Lazarus APT group is targeting energy providers around the world, including organizations in the U.S., Canada, and Japan. It should say that they're still targeting, because they've been targeting for a while. Talos researchers tracked a campaign orchestrated by North Korea-linked Lazarus APT group aimed at energy providers around the world, including organizations in the U.S., Canada, and Japan. The campaign was observed between February and July 2022. Targeted organizations include energy providers from around the world, including those headquartered in the U.S., Canada, and Japan, reads the analysis published by Talos. The campaign is meant to infiltrate organizations around the world for establishing long-term access and subsequently exfiltrating data of interest to the adversary's nation-state. The attack chain observed by the experts starts with the exploitation of vulnerabilities like Log4j in VMware products to achieve initial footholds into enterprise networks. Once access to the network is obtained, threat actors deploy custom implants tracked as vSingle and YamaBot. vSingle is an HTTP bot that executes arbitrary code from a remote network. It also downloads and executes plugins. The bot was used to carry out a variety of malicious activities, including reconnaissance, malware deployment, and data exfiltration. YamaBot is a backdoor written in Golang. The main goal of these attacks was likely to establish long-term access into victim networks to conduct espionage operations in support of North Korean government objectives, continues the report. So the list of variations shared by Talos include credential harvesting using tools such as Mimikatz and ProcDump, proxy tools to set up SOX proxies, reverse tunneling tools such as Putty's P-Link. Threat actors claim to have stolen classified NATO documents from the Armed Forces General Staff Agency of Portugal. The Armed Forces General Staff Portuguese Estado Maior General das Forças Armadas, or EMGFA, is the supreme military body of Portugal. It is responsible for the planning, command, and control of the Portuguese armed forces. The General Staff of the Armed Forces, commanded by the Chief of Staff Admiral Silva Ribeiro, was the target of a prolonged and unprecedented cyber attack that resulted in the exfiltration of classified NATO documents, reported the news outlet Diário de Notícias. Sources of the news agency consider this security breach of extreme gravity. Hundreds of secret and confidential documents sent by NATO to Portugal are now for sale on the dark web. It was a cyber attack prolonged in time and undetectable, though through bots programmed to detect this type of documents, which were later removed in several stages, explained one of these sources. The documents were spotted by the U.S. Information Services, which immediately alerted the U.S. Embassy in Lisbon, which warned the Portuguese authorities. NATO will have demanded explanations and guarantees from the Portuguese government, and next week, on behalf of Antonio Costa, I should travel to the NATO headquarters in Brussels for a high-level meeting at the NATO Office of Security. The Secretary of State of Digitization and Administration Modernization, Mario Campolargo, who oversees the GNS, and the Director General of this office, Vice Admiral Gamiro Marquez, who is responsible for the security of classified information sent to our country, continues the website. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency added 12 new vulnerabilities to its Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog, including 4 vulnerabilities in D-Link routers, 2 Chrome zero-day issues, and a recently disclosed flaw in the QNAP photo station. According to Binding Operation Directive BOD 22-01, reducing the significant risk of known exploited vulnerabilities, FCEB agencies have to address the identified vulnerabilities by the due date to protect their networks against attacks exploiting the flaws in the catalog. Of course, private companies should do the same. Last week, Google rolled out emergency fixes to address a vulnerability tracked to CVE 2022-3075 in the Chrome web browser that is being actively exploited in the wild. Now, CISA added this flaw to the catalog. CISA also added the CVE 2022-27593 in QNAP NAS appliances to its catalog. This week, the Taiwanese vendor warned its customers of ongoing deadbolt ransomware attacks that are exploiting a zero-day vulnerability in PhotoStation. Microsoft security threat intelligence researchers reported that Iran-linked app group Dev0270 Nemesis Kitten has been abusing the BitLocker Windows feature to encrypt victims' devices. The Dev0270 group exploits high-severity vulnerabilities to gain initial access to devices. It also extensively uses living off the land, or lolbins, to harvest credentials. The experts observed the abuse of the built-in BitLocker tool to encrypt files in compromised devices. In many of the observed Dev0270 instances, the actor gained access by exploiting known vulnerabilities in Exchange or Fortinet, CVE 2018-13379. For Exchange, the most prevalent exploit was proxy logon. This highlights the need to patch high-severity vulnerabilities in internet-facing devices, as the group has continued to successfully exploit these vulnerabilities even recently, well after updates were supplied for the fixes, reads the analysis published by Microsoft. Dev0270 group abuses BitLocker to encrypt victims' devices. Dev0270 usually obtains initial access to administrator or system-level privileges by injecting a web shell into a privileged process on a vulnerable web server. In the alternative, or alternatively, it creates or activates a user account to provide it with administrator privileges. In some attacks, the time between initial access and the ransom note, aka time to ransom or TTR, was around 2 days. The group demands US $8,000 for decryption keys, and in case the victims refuse to pay the ransom, it attempts to monetize its efforts by selling the stolen data. The researchers observed multiple infrastructure overlaps between Dev0270 and the two companies. Both companies are also linked to Naji Technology Hushmand, located in Karaj, Iran. On September 6, 2022, the WordFence threat intelligence team was informed of a vulnerability being actively exploited in the BackupBuddy WordPress plugin. This plugin allows users to back up an entire WordPress installation, including theme files, pages, posts, widgets, users, and media files. The vulnerability tracked to CVE 2022-31474 with a CVSS score of 7.5 can be exploited by an unauthenticated user to download arbitrary files from the affected site. It has been estimated that the plugin has around 140,000 active installations. WordPress researchers determined that threat actors started exploiting this vulnerability in the wild on August 26, 2022. The security firm also added that they have blocked 4,948,926 attacks exploiting this vulnerability since that time. The attackers were attempting to retrieve sensitive files such as the /wordpress-config.php and etc. password file. The plugin allows storing backup files in multiple locations or destinations, including Google Drive, OneDrive, and AWS. The plugin also allows storing backups via the local directory copy option, but experts discovered that this feature isn't secure and allows unauthenticated users to download any file stored on the server. More specifically, the plugin registers an admin_init hook for the function intended to download local backup files, and the function itself did not have any capability checks nor any nonce validation. This means that the function could be triggered via any administrative page, including those that can be called without authentication, like admin-post.php, making it possible for unauthenticated users to call the function, reads the report. Due to this vulnerability being actively exploited and its ease of exploitation, we are sharing minimal details about this vulnerability. A joint operation conducted by enforcement and leading organizations in cryptocurrency industry allowed to recover more than $30 million worth of cryptocurrency stolen by North Korea-linked app group Lazarus from online video game Axie Infinity. In March, threat actors stole almost $625 million in Ethereum and USDC, a US dollar-pegged stablecoin, tokens from Axie Infinity's Ronin network bridge. The attack took place on March 23rd, but the cyber heist was discovered after a user was unable to withdraw 5,000 Ether. The attackers stolen roughly 173,600 Ether and 25.5 million USDC. According to a post published by blockchain security firm Chain Analysis, its crypto incident response team played a role in these seizures, providing its advanced tracing techniques to follow stolen funds to cash out points. The seizures represent approximately 10% of the total funds stolen from Axie Infinity, accounting for price differences between time stolen and seized, and demonstrate that it is becoming more difficult for bad actors to successfully cash out their ill-gotten crypto gains, reads a post published by Chain Analysis. A report from the block published in July and citing two people familiar with the matter revealed that threat actors targeted a senior engineer at the company with a fake job offer via LinkedIn. The attackers offered a job with an extremely generous compensation package to a Sky Mavis engineer. A PDF containing the offer was sent to the employee. Once opened, the file spyware compromised his system and infiltrated Ronin's network. Once inside the company infrastructure, the threat actors were able to take over 4 out of 9 validators on the Ronin network. In April, the U.S. government blamed North Korea-linked Lazarus for the Ronin validator cyber heist. In July, the U.S. Treasury announced in a notice the sanctions against the Ethereum address used by the North Korea-linked app to receive the stolen funds. U.S. organizations are forbidden to conduct any transactions with that address. The DeFi laundering technique usually adopted by Lazarus is composed of 5 stages. Stolen Ether sent to intermediary wallets, Ether mixed in batches using Tornado Cash, Ether swapped for Bitcoin, Bitcoin mixed in batches, Bitcoin deposited to crypto to fiat services for cash out. This process was also used to launder large portions of Ronin's stolen funds. The U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security and its Minister of Intelligence over the Albania cyber attack. The U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions against Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security and its Minister of Intelligence over the cyber attack that hit Albania in July. MOIS is the primary intelligence agency of the Islamic Republic of Iran and a member of the Iran intelligence community. It is also known as Vaja and previously as Vivak, Vezarat Etelay, Adva, Amniyat e Keshvar, or alternatively MOIS. Since at least 2007, the MOIS coordinated a series of cyber operations against government entities and private organizations around the world. In January, U.S. Cybercom officially linked the Iran-linked Muddy Water Apps Group, aka Seedworm and Temp Zagros, to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, MOIS. Today, the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, is designating Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security. The Ministry of Intelligence and Security is known as MOIS, and its Minister of Intelligence for engaging in cyber-enabled activities against the United States and its allies, reads the press release to the U.S. Treasury Department. Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama this week announced that Albania interrupted diplomatic ties with Iran and expelled the country's embassy staff over the massive cyber attack that hit the country in mid-July. The United States strongly condemns Iran's cyber attack against our NATO ally, Albania. We join in Prime Minister Rama's call for Iran to be held accountable for this unprecedented cyber incident. The United States will take further action to hold Iran accountable for actions that threaten the security of a U.S. ally and set a troubling precedent for cyberspace, U.S. National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson said. The latest DoD attempt at improving contractor cybersecurity runs into a buzzsaw. The industry has launched a pretty strong objection to the latest version of the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification Program known as CMMC. The Defense Department has been working and reworking CMMC for several years now. It's an attempt to make sure contractors have the controls in place to safeguard controlled, unclassified information. The Coalition for Government Procurement has raised the latest objections. The Federal Drive with Tom Temin gets more from Coalition member and procurement attorney Rob Metzger. Robert Metzger says, I am co-chair of the Cyber Committee of the Coalition of Government Procurement, and in that role, I helped draft their comments, which are about 10 pages in length and which were submitted to DoD and to the Cyber AB. He added, one of the things that was said in the coalition document is that the DoD and CMMC and the AB and the assessors ought to focus more on those cyber measures which are most important and which will have the best results rather than, having a paint-by-numbers approach that demands evidence of everything because it's just too hard. Scammers live-streamed on YouTube an old interview with Tim Cook as part of a fake Apple crypto event, and tens of thousands of users viewed it. Cybercriminals were live-streaming on YouTube an old interview with Tim Cook as part of a fake Apple crypto event, and tens of thousands of users viewed it. The interview was transmitted by CNN, conducted in 2018. To deceive the users, the scammers filled the title and description with Apple keywords. The fake live stream was getting attention by filling its description with an array of Apple keywords in both the title and description, but when you actually opened it up, it was filled with odd messages like a shady-looking crypto site. Apple Crypto Event 2022, reported The Verge. After The Verge published the news about the fraudulent livestream, YouTube removed the video for violating company terms of service. I came upon this stream because it was recommended on my YouTube homepage. That might have been in part because I've been watching Apple videos from the event throughout the day, continues The Verge. When I first started watching the fake stream, there were around 16,000 viewers, and right before first publishing the story, the count was nearly 70,000. Verge also reported having found another live stream on a separate channel. The stream was advertised as an event featuring Cook and Elon Musk about Apple and the metaverse. In this case, the stream was viewed by about 10,000 viewers. When a confidential document is leaked by unauthorized photo taking or photocopying, the simple step of taking a photo of the document will offer information about when and how it was leaked. Sometimes you can actually get that data from the photo's metadata, but there's a new technology out there. This is the latest anti-leak technology developed by High Dimensional Data, a tech company based in the eastern Chinese city of Hefei. It was showcased at the ongoing cybersecurity-themed expo being held in Hefei, an event forming part of the 2022 China Cybersecurity Week. The key to the technology lies in a traceable security system that adds an invisible watermark to each confidential document, said Yao Zhuitao, a product manager at High Dimensional Data. From quantum encryption technology, big data, and fraud systems to methods of identifying AI-enabled forgeries, various cutting-edge technologies are showcased at the expo, demonstrating China's unremitting efforts to strengthen cybersecurity. A report released by the China Internet Network Information Center in August showed that 63.2% of China's internet users said in June that they had not encountered cybersecurity problems in the past 6 months, and that's up 1.3 percentage points from December 2021. As far as cybersecurity is concerned, a perfect score is the only acceptable outcome, said Zhu Jianyu, Deputy Chief of the Cybersecurity Brigade of the Hefei Public Security Bureau, adding that raising public awareness of all kinds of online fraud is an important way to enhance cybersecurity. I personally take that as a point that says you should be subscribing to my channel and watching my episodes regularly. Data from the Ministry of Public Security show that since April 2021, the National Anti-Fraud Center had intercepted 2.81 billion fraud-related phone calls and blocked 4 million fraud-related domain names and websites. It has prevented 109 million people from being swindled and stopped 551.8 billion yuan, about $79.2 billion US dollars, from being lost due to fraud. How it came to that number, I don't really know, but I'll take the word for it for now. SecureWorks researchers reported that China-linked app group BRONZE President conducted a new campaign aimed at government officials in Europe, the Middle East, and South America with the PlugX malware. Several characteristics of this campaign indicate that it was conducted by the likely Chinese government-sponsored BRONZE President threat group, including the use of PlugX, file paths, and naming schemes previously used by the threat group, the presence of shellcode and executable file headers, and politically themed decoy documents that align with the regions where China has interests, reads the analysis published by SecureWorks. The BRONZE President Group is targeting political and law enforcement organizations and NGOs in Asia. The China-based group has been active at least since 2014. It focused on political and law enforcement organizations and NGOs in Asia. The app group leverages both custom remote access tools and publicly available remote access and post-compromise to compromise target networks. Not sure why that switched around, but the researchers recommend organizations in geographic regions of interest to China to monitor the activity of this app group. They also shared indicators of compromise for this campaign. BRONZE President has demonstrated an ability to pivot quickly for new intelligence collection opportunities. Organizations in geographic regions of interest to China should closely monitor this group's activities, especially organizations associated with or operating as government agencies, concludes the report. The hospitality conglomerate Intercontinental Hotel Group, IHG, manages 17 hotel chains, including Regent, Crown Plaza, Holiday Inn, and Candlewood Suites. IHG operates 6,028 hotels in more than 100 different countries. The company announced that the Holiday Inn Hotel subsidiary of IHG suffered a cyber attack. Attackers had access to parts of the company's technology systems. The attack significantly disrupted IHG's booking channels and other applications, a circumstance that suggests that the company was the victim of a ransomware attack. The security breach also impacted the booking process through third-party sites such as Expedia and Booking.com, and the service was intermittently resumed during this week. Customers who are trying to book rooms can only log onto Holiday Inn's site and make reservations about half the time, according to Vimal Patel, a franchisee who operates Holiday Inn Express hotels in Laplace, LA, and Donaldsonville, reported the Post. And that's the news! Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you have not already, and smash the bell if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.